yeah, thanks for everyone rocking up. Like I said, this is the biggest one. You'll probably see me every now and then just trying to add some more people because it doesn't let me just auto add to the group. But yeah, awesome to see you guys jumping on and taking advantage of this stuff. Obviously, it's something that you just want to know, someone that's just gone through Kapooka and yeah, wanting to sort of feed off his experience. So yeah, so the reason that I do this is, yeah, I know that there's a lot of unknown before you guys go to Kapooka. I've been there. I went through and back in 2005, and they didn't even have Facebook back then. So the amount of information I had was fuck all. So yeah, so now that you guys get this sort of opportunity, it's really good sort of getting to know what happens there before you actually go there, rather than having that unknown. It sort of takes a little bit of the stress away, sort of knowing what you're getting yourself into, but you'll never really know until you're actually there. So it's just giving you that little bit more info to go away with. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to find Blaine and all of these people soon, and I'm going to go through and ask him a few standard questions and just get a general idea of his experience of, yeah, leading up to Kapooka and through Kapooka. And then I'll give you guys the opportunity to, yeah, to ask the questions. So the way that I want this done, because there are so many people on here, if you've got a question, just write it in the chat. You can get there's a little chat part. So just write it in there and I'll just go down the list, and whoever's next in line, you can just read out your question. And that way you don't forget it either. So as I'm talking, as Blaine's talking, you can just be writing in questions. Just to start with, just limit it to like 2 to 3 questions, and then allow other people to ask questions. If you got more at the end, then just add it into the end. And then at the end, once we're finished up with Blaine, yeah, I'm just going to open up the floor and allow you to ask any sort of questions about my online training. And I've got a one-off offer for you tonight too, if you want to jump onto that. All right, so let's get into it. Blaine, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah, we can hear you. You're good to go. So I met Blaine last year sometime and trained him right up until he went to Kapooka. And yeah, now he's an Army reservist in the band, and he's actually parading at the same, even though we haven't seen each other yet, he's parading at the same unit that I'm at, because I'm now a reservist since November last year. And yeah, and actually started parading last week. But yeah, so we're at the same unit, so we'll definitely be seeing each other around. But yeah, Blaine, just give a bit of an intro about yourself.
Yeah, g'day guys. I'm Blaine. I went through Kapooka February this year, so prime time. I'm a muso, so I'm a band in the band corps over here at Newcastle, one of the better towns. Yeah, so I spent 5 weeks. I play the trumpet, so I'm a bugler. Been busy over the past Anzac weekend, and it's basically me.
Yeah, you said, so you've been in there pretty much full time at the moment, like you've been doing a fair few days? Basically,
for the past 2 weeks, I don't think I've ever left this Tumblr space here. So yeah, I've been in it quite a lot, even for a reservist, but yeah, it comes with the job.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so we'll get into that, like your job later on, but yeah, so I'm just going to go through a few standard questions now that people are probably thinking about, so we'll get them out of the way. So firstly, let's just go through your enlistment. So before you even get to Kapooka, your enlistment, you know, how was the process for you? How long did it take you? Yeah, and all that good stuff. Go for it.
So it took me forever to get through DFR. It was over a period of like 4 months. I was lucky. I went through DFR before COVID. So I was able to do everything at DFR at Newcastle. So I made it heaps easier, because I know now it's like all of it's online, makes it hard. But when it's face to face, it's heaps good. I had to go in there a couple of times for medical and defense interviews and stuff. But they just took forever. Like, just tried to organize a date, and then dates kept getting pushed back and stuff. So it took me a while. With the PFA and stuff I did in there, smashed it. Thanks to your training, it all helped out. That PFA was probably one of the hardest PFAs I've done, but since then you got to go higher. So if I was to do a PFA now, I'd probably pass it with ease.
Yeah, and so you should. Yeah, and that's what I tell everyone, like that. that PFA, that's the very first hurdle that you jump, and once you're over it, and you're actually in, yeah, yeah, your fitness will never be down that low. If it is, then there's something wrong. You'll be in a bit of trouble. All right, so yeah, you were in the RIC, weren't you?
Yes, I was at the regional induction company.
Yeah.
Once I enlisted. So basically their job is to prepare you to go to Kapooka. They don't actually prepare you, but they're meant to. So basically you parade there. I paraded there every Tuesday fortnight. And they just teach you the basics, but they mainly do a bit of PT. Yeah, so a bit of PT, and then you learn just basic defense life and life as a person who technically has a security clearance and how to act like that. You not meant to be stupid and all that.
Yeah.
But that's basically it. Nothing too much. All the big surprises you get are at Kapooka.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's as a reservist. Yeah. So you can technically enlist well before your actual start date. Yeah. Is there
100%.
any sort of time frame or?
There's a set in stone time frame that you're meant to be enlisted for 12 months. Sorry, not 12, 6. 6 months between you enlist and go to Kapooka.
Yeah.
But I've had a few mates that have enlisted 1 month, and like 3 weeks later they're already off. So it changes very regularly.
Yeah, yeah. And is that because like they don't run as many reserve courses down in Kapooka, or what's?
Well, I think that's because more courses have popped up. I know recently there was like start of last year there was barely any, but over beginning of 2021 and like October 2020 they've just pumped reserve courses through. I know with some documents I've seen, it's just been like more reserve courses than actual full timers down there.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, there's just been a heaps of influx of people moving into the reserves. So
yeah,
they've catered for that, and people have reaped the rewards with being able to enlist in the next week going away. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. And they'll be able to do that as well because the reserve course is a third of the time of the full-time course as well. And don't look at that, because I did the reserve course. I know what it's like, and don't look at it 35 days. It was 45 when I did it, but 35 days. It's not going to be as bad as the full-time. The problem is you only got 35 days to jam everything in there. So you do miss out on a couple of things while you're there, but rather than having them spaced out over those 90 days, it's all jam-packed and it's just belt-fed everything. So many lessons. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's one thing as well, like on the offside with your fitness side of things. If you're struggling with your fitness and you're struggling with PT and all of that, like how bad are those lessons if you're falling asleep, Blaine?
100%. Yeah. How it was described to me was you basically do everything a full-timer does, except like two or three things. It's like barely anything, but you have 35s to do it, and they're there for basically 12 weeks. So my days were jam-packed, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. or even later. I remember staying up to 12:30 a.m. once. I won't go into that because it was a nightmare, but you are constantly doing stuff, and you constantly need to be able to think and able to have a very good brain function in order to take in stuff, because one day you'll learn something, the next day, well, here's a piece of paper, sign your name away, you have an assessment on it just so that you've passed. So you need to be on your feet 100% of the time, really, except for when you're sleeping. Take that when you can get it.
And on that as well, and just like down the line of the fitness side of things, because it is so jam-packed, is it still the same? You don't really get that much training there.
In terms of fitness, I think we did PT sessions about 4 times. I know overall for the 35 days, I lost strength and I lost fitness from when I started. Especially my push-ups. I was doing 35, 40 before I went. And then when you do a BFA on like the very second last day before you leave, I only got something like 22. Like you definitely lose fitness because they're technically got more important stuff to do. They have to teach you how to operate the weapon systems. They have to teach you drill. They have to teach you everything, and PT gets pushed down the list pretty hard.
For sure, and that's why, especially as a reservist, it is super important to be fit before you go, because even if you do lose that little bit of fitness, you're like, once you march out of Kapooka, it used to be you had to pass your BFA before you even marched out. But now you can pass it once you get back. but you want to be able to pass it when you get back. You don't want to have to put it off because you're just a shit fight on your unit straight away, and it's really annoying for the people that are trying to train you up because you should already be there.
100%. Yeah.
And do they do all that through the RIC, all the extra BFA training, or is that through your actual unit?
So it depends what corps you're going into. So I'm only a combat service support corps, which means straight after I got back from Kapooka, they just sent me out of the RIC and they got rid of me. But if you're going for any jobs like infantrymen, artillerymen, any combat corps related jobs, or then you're in the RIC for at least another 6 months afterwards. So that way you can do all these other courses that build on your skills you learn at Kapooka. Then they send you to your home unit. So while after you get back from Kapooka, if you're still in the RIC, well then they'll take you through BFAs and PFAs and stuff, which you need to pass there as well. Yeah,
so that's pretty much especially for infantry and all that, that's like going through IETs, which full-timers, you do that straight away. Like you march out and you go straight to your IETs, but reservists, if you got extra training and like all infantry and all of that, you'll be sitting in the RIC and doing random shit.
Yep. That's it. 100% doing random stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah. Like pre-quals, because especially reserves, you pretty much, if you're going into like a trade type job, you have to be pre-qualified anyway. Same as we used to do an apprenticeship scheme as a mechanic, as tradies. You used to be able to do an apprenticeship scheme, but they don't have that anymore. You have to be qualified before you get in. So there's not really that much training for you to do. There's a little bit, but it's just done at your unit. So you just go straight to your unit afterwards. You don't have to go to the RIC. That's with Ramey, the best corps. Yeah. All right. So, for everyone, there's a fair few people that have joined in since we've been chatting. So if you do have questions, I only got a couple up there. Yeah, start throwing them in the chat. And once I've finished my just standard questions, I'll go through and let you answer them just in order, and just keep them around about 2 to 3 each. All right. So explain. All right. I know this is a big part of leaving, going to Kapooka, is that actual trip down there. So what's the feeling like? What's the day like? You're on the bus. What do you do? All that stuff for that, and it like actual trip down there.
Yeah. So when I went down there, we had a sister platoon. So there was 100 of us basically going on 4 buses, and they split you up into your platoons before you go down there. So what I tried to do was I just socialized as much as I could, especially on your bus there, because it's the army, and because there's some sergeant that's obviously have to do all the paperwork and stuff. They've got it all in alphabetical order. They're in platoon order. So that way you're sitting on the bus, you're sitting with the people that you're going to be spending the next 35 days with. So basically you technically have your phones, but turn into army mode, get rid of the phones, turn them all off. You're only going to get them like twice for the next 35 days. So don't even worry about your phones. You should have already spoken to your family and stuff. That's what they said to us the night before, and just talk with your new best friends, basically get to know them. And they'll tell you what they're feeling. And I know big nerves were high, and a lot of people were anxious, but just don't think any of that. Just think, well, this is going to be a great experience, and it's going to be fun. Try and have fun with it. If you're going in there scared out of your mind, well then from day one you're just not going to be enjoying it, and you want to enjoy it, otherwise you won't get through. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I still remember that bus trip, and I still remember the person I was sitting next to, and I still talk to him, and that was back in November 2005, and I've never been to a unit with him, but I still remember that guy, and I still chat to him. So everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's just shitting themselves, not knowing what's going on. So it's really easy to connect with people, and don't just hold to yourself. Like everyone's in the same boat. 100%. Everyone, as soon as you start chatting to someone, you'll just make friends like that. Like that's it. And it's the same like when you go anywhere with the Defence Force. So when I went, because I was a reserve, and then a year and a half later I went full time. So I went down to 𝘬𝘭𝘭𝘆. All these guys had just gone through all their basic training, everything together, and I went there by myself. So I had no one. But you just instantly make friends. It's just a completely different world. Like, don't worry about that. It's you will make a lot of mates through the Defence Force. It's awesome. All right. So what about your first impression actually rocking up to Kapooka? What was getting off the bus? What did they get you doing? What happened? So straight off the bus, I was definitely expecting screaming everywhere, like running to everywhere. Expect it because it happens. They did start yelling and it did start screaming to try and snap your mind into recruit mode. But a lot of admin, surprisingly, I experienced. You went through, you got all your clothes, you signed a load of paperwork. You got in to some type of uniform, whatever they've chosen for you. You get into it, so that way you're all looking nifty, and then you're straight off to get haircuts, straight off to lose the head of hair you got on you and go number one all round for the next 35 days. And that was in the first 2 hours, maybe. Like they're straight away, they don't want you dealing with that shabby head of hair you've got. So they're gonna get rid of it. And then when you come back, it'll just be setting up, it'll be unpacking your bags, getting them into the bags they've given you, and just sorting out your life basically until that's all done. And then you're straight into lessons, just straight into it. They have to get you started. So yeah, basically no time to rest.
It's just go right from the start. It's
100%.
You just don't know what's going on. What? He's telling me to go this way.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, trying to get in formations and whatnot. Just telling you, trying to fall in. Oh, tough, very tough.
I actually forgot about haircuts. I forgot about that. It's funny seeing people rocking up with their long hair. It's just, it's gone.
Yeah, there's some people with dreadlocks. That was a nightmare for the corporals. But don't rock up with dreadlocks. Lesson learned.
Just be hacking up your head. Yeah, awesome. All right, there was something that popped up just then. I was going to ask something, but I can't remember. Okay, so explain just like a typical day that obviously no day is really the same, but sort of you do get in a routine. So the routine for a day.
Yeah. So our daily routine down there, now bear in mind your daily routine will be completely different. So I know my daily routine compared to the sister platoon we two separate daily routines, because if they kept it all the same, well then basically you would go up there knowing stuff already. So this is what I've experienced, but it'll be 100 times different for you. So my daily routine was, you woke up whatever time they woke you up at. Usually it was 6 a.m. and my room thought we were pretty smart. We woke up at 5:45 a.m. and we were ready to go at 6. So don't always just be the person that's dead asleep until 6. Otherwise you'll be late for waking up. So you wake up and then you shave your face if you're a male, do your hair if you're female, just do the usual stuff, get ready for the day, and then breakfast in like 15 minutes, and then straight into classes 7 a.m. onwards. So I remember one of the first classes we had was on navigation. So just straight into nav, learning, got compasses in your hands, you're dealing with all this information overload, especially if you've never done navigation before. And people find it hard. I know a few of my mates who I'm still mates with now found it really hard to learn how you meant to navigate through the bush, basically. So it was straight off, and then you go to lunch. Lunch is half an hour, shove down your food, and then straight into another lesson. You might go out do drill for 2 and 3 hours, and you got to switch on for that, because if you're not in time with everyone else, you'll get yelled at. And then moving on, we go, first aid now. Well, now you have to be switched on for first aid, learning something new. You could be learning 10 new things in one day. It's really insane, but that's how it is.
Yeah. Did you ever run into a guy called Sergeant Sutherland? Jesse?
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, right.
No Sergeant Sutherland down there.
It's funny hearing like the stories of you, like people going down there now, because where like everyone is actually going down there to be instructors now. So one of my mates is going down there next year, and a few of them are there at the moment. And it's funny, you can just sort of flip around the other side. Now you can see all the other shit. It's even hard as an instructor, because like, as you know, there's just shit going on all the time. So it's pretty full on.
From what I noticed, the instructors had it tough because of COVID now. When you rock down there for the first 2 weeks, basically the instructors, the platoon commander, the platoon sergeant, they're all shoved into the same building with you. So for the first 2 weeks, you don't get a break from them. They're all on you every single day, 24/7. You don't get a break until the 3rd week, when they all go home and visit their families, and you're stuck there doing more stuff. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, has there been many changes since COVID?
Yeah. So you get a 2-week isolation period, and basically you don't get to go to the mess, which everyone wants to go to. You get basically food's delivered to you, everything's delivered to you.
Really?
You have to stick. Yeah, you're not allowed to go anywhere. you'll go to the medical center, but then you'll be like masked up and jabbed a couple of times, and then you're out of there in like 10 minutes. But you can only stay basically around your living quarters. You can't go anywhere, can't go to the range. You'll just be stuck there with like a 100-meter radius, is what I heard. And for the first 2 weeks, you don't leave that one area.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
pretty
get
much
used to it.
half your time.
Basically, yeah. And but then come the third week, you go everywhere all on the same day. So like Monday, week 3, basically you go to the range, you go back to the medical center, or you go get uniforms, or you go do parade on the big parade ground. You go everywhere within a day. You'll cover like 40 Ks. You never know. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
How'd you go with marching? You were
Marching was good
already, didn't you, with the rec?
Yeah, so not really. So I used to be a cadet. Okay. So if you're a young person and you're still able to be a cadet, best idea I ever did was to be a cadet, because that gave you so much knowledge that when I went in there, I already knew. So basics of marching, basics of drill, and like just the basic first aid and the basic nav, I already had down from my time as a cadet. And that just allowed me to focus on the harder stuff. Whereas poor souls that are 40, 45 that are going in and having to learn how to do drill properly, how to march in time, where to swing your arms, how to do nav, how to do first aid, how to operate a rifle, how to operate the LSW, how to do everything. What's the procedures? If a base is under attack, what's the procedures, or whatever. It's information overload for those guys, and those guys found it tough. I was kind of lucky because I had previous experience, but I felt bad for those guys.
Yeah, that'd make a huge difference. Just knowing like little things, as simple as marching sounds, it's just a matter of over exaggerating walking. It's fucking hard, and if you've never done 100%. It before, you aren't go as shit. I went there and I didn't even know what marching was, and I still square gate, but yeah, you're just square gating everywhere, and it's ridiculous, and you're just nervous every time you got to go out and do something. So yeah, if you can get that out, like learn that sort of stuff beforehand, man, it'll make your time there so much easier. So.
Yeah, if you've got a friend, who knows what they're doing, if they've been a cadet or if they're even like enlisted or even an officer, just go to them and say, hey, teach me how to march. And I think you're sweet, because marching was the one thing, technically the platoon, they want everything you do together as a group. So if one person fails, the group fails. So I know my platoon, we were still failing at marching the day before our march out. Someone will fuck it, and that's unfortunately, that's what happens. So if you can learn how to march before you go, 100%. But I got it easy as I already knew how to do it.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, I just got 2 more questions of mine, and then I'll pass it on to the other guys, because there's a fair few coming through, which is awesome. All right, so yeah, hardest part of your experience.
The hardest part for me, that's tough. The hardest part was probably interacting with everyone. So you're in a platoon, but you also get split up again into sections, and then you get split up again into like 4 people per room. So like you're with the 4 people that you basically sleep 3 meters away from for those 35 days. And you really want to get along well with those people, because we definitely had some rooms that did not get along well. And that killed the mood for everyone. So getting along with, trying to be as friendly as you can be and getting along with everyone will save you so much trouble and so much social interactions in terms of like fighting or having arguments and stuff, because no doubt people will get heated and people will get upset, and you need to be able to pass that and get on with the main task of completing the 35 days. So yeah, people would say, oh, the long days are hard, but they're fine. They feed you like carbs galore. So your body's constantly rolling. So really, if you're worried about the days, don't be worried about the days. If you're worried about like any of the shooting and stuff, don't worry about the shooting. Or if you're worried about operating anything or learning anything, you're fine. You'll get through it. It's just like interactions with other people, because if you get heated and then you have enemies, well, then what happens if you have to work together to pass the challenge and you hate that guy? It's not fun.
Yeah, that's really good advice, and yeah, one I haven't heard, out of all the people that I've interviewed. So yeah, that's awesome. And you've got to work as a team, like, and especially if they're in your little section, then you've got to work with them. And if you're hating each other, it'll just make the days bad. Then you won't do the job properly. You won't be able to finish it. Then you'll get in shit off the instructors, and it'll just snowball. So yeah, really good advice. Just get along with everyone, even if you don't hate them. Just put up with them. It's not that long.
That's it.
All right. Last question is, yeah, what was the best part?
Best part is basically meeting new people as well. Making best friends. We've still got like the Kapooka group chat, as we've called it, and like it's still 50+ messages a day with everyone, and like they update you because they all, once you finish Kapooka, you all go to different units, like people from Western Australia, people from Tasmania, people from Northern Territory, people from the 𝘭𝘭𝘯𝘨 Regiment, people from the band corps, people from catering corps. I didn't even know that was a corps. And like they just update you like, hey, this is what I'm doing this weekend, this is what I'm doing. Like people driving different vehicles that they've learned how to drive, or it's really cool to just catch up with everyone, and also enjoy the teamwork that it comes from. So I know everyone hated me for it, or not really hated, everyone really got pissed off by the end of it, but every single time in breakfast, because you're sitting in a massive long flight line, I went, as you walk up the line holding your food, I said hello to every single person and good morning to every single person as I walk through. And I still get messages today say that they miss me doing that for some reason. So try to do something a little bit quirky, which makes it memorable for them, but also makes it a good time. You always want to be laughing. You never want to be in a sour mood when you're down there. Always try to laugh, always see the fun side of it. I know the corporals, when they're yelling at you, most of the time they'll try and make a joke and they'll try and make fun of you. So don't take that as an offense. Take it as that's actually a pretty funny joke, and then laugh about it later.
Yeah. Awesome. That's it. And those people that you go down there with, like, you'll most probably see them again. If you're full time, you will see them at some point. You'll get posted around, and you will definitely see those people again. Like I see everyone. And but even as a reservist, you'll go on operations, you'll go on exercises and all that type of stuff, and you'll still see those people around. Obviously, all depending on the cause and that, but even people in different corps, you'll still see them. You work with everyone, so it's not like you just stick to your corps and you stick to your unit. You end up working with everyone. All right, yeah, you got some really good points in there. That was awesome. So I'm just gonna go through and I'll just call out your name, and all you got to do is unmute yourself and just ask your question, and then Blaine will answer it for you. So we got Spartacus here. He's just got a question about the aptitude test first. Yeah, go for it, Spartacus.
Hi, I'm Spartacus, by the way. Yeah, I was just wondering, how did you go about studying for your aptitude tests exactly?
Okay. Aptitude test. That's been ages since I've done an aptitude test. Rest assured, once you do the aptitude test, once you've enlisted, you never have to do an aptitude test again. I basically just do your basic maths and do your basic English. There's aptitude stuff like it's as round as A, or it's as high as A, or the sky is. It's really simple. It's not that hard until you get to like year 12 advanced standard maths. Like if you keep going and you keep getting stuff right and stuff right and stuff right, it will just get progressively harder and harder until you've hit your point. And then once you've failed a few questions, well, then it just recycles those difficult questions, like the difficult questions that are your standard, and then that'll determine your job. So if you want to unlock every job, just study basic maths. So a bit of geometry, bit of algebra and stuff like that, bit of pi r squared, pi r d, just that type of stuff. And you should be fine. But I didn't really try to worry that much about the aptitude test. I was more worried about the fitness, because you only get 3 chances to do the fitness after the aptitude test. So don't worry about the aptitude test, worry about the stuff later on. So that way, because once you do the aptitude test, you're obviously going to get a job. So you're going to get many jobs. You're not just going to get one. You're going to get, or you could be infantry, or you could be an airfield defense guard. Oh, look, you could be an artillery operator, or you could be a submariner. You could, whatever job in whatever service, and you just get to pick one, but it's the stuff afterwards which you need to prepare for.
Okay, thank you. I just want to have my options as versatile as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Would you recommend paying for an online course to go about studying for your aptitude test? Because I've had mixed answers. Some say you should to show initiative, and others say don't bother. Just study for it. Do the free trial ones that they have online.
Do the free trial ones they have online. I'm sure you can look online. You can look up year 12 maths exams, and that'll give you all you need to do. But I didn't pay for anything. Personally, I don't think it's a really good idea, because if you don't make it through, or what for whatever reason you've just wasted. It depends how much it is. I've seen some of them are like $1,000 or such, but I really think people overthink the aptitude test. The aptitude test is designed to see how, to test your abilities for whatever job roles they'll give you. So you really, my personal opinion is don't study for it at all, but people like to study, so go study. So if you didn't study for it at all and you just did the best that you could, well, then they're the jobs that you'd be most suited to. The test is designed to see how you'll go in what job role, basically.
Yeah, there is an app as well, Spartacus. There's an app you can download, and it's just a trial of it. So yeah, jump on that.
Do you happen to have the name of the app, Brody?
What's that?
Do you happen to have the name of the app by any chance?
Yeah, it's just ADF aptitude testing, I think. Yeah, if you just put in ADF aptitude, it'll pop up. You'll see it. It's just got the boat, tank, and whatever else they got on there. You'll see the picture. All right, awesome.
Cheers for that. Yep.
All right, that's it, Spartacus.
Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Okay, we got Rhiannon. So you just unmute yourself. So you're asking about parading. So I'm assuming this is about his current job and what's involved in parading when you turn up.
Yeah, hey guys, my name is Rhiannon. I enlisted in the Army Reserves last Monday. I'm just waiting to be allocated.
Oh.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh,
sorry. That was me.
Sorry, no, all good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I enlisted last Monday in the Army Reserves. I'm waiting to be allocated to a unit or a base up here in Darwin, and people keep referring to it as parading. I'm just curious, what does that actually mean, parading? Is that just the term used for like working on a Thursday or a Saturday, or
Yeah, so first things first, congratulations. Hell yeah, good work. So when you're in, parading for Army Reservists just means your Tuesday night, and for every single unit there will be different nights. The general wide unit day is Tuesday night, and from 6:30 till 9:30 basically is the general time. But I know my unit, sometimes we do a Thursday, sometimes we do a Wednesday. We change it up, and I know units down in Sydney, they do a Friday night. But yeah, parading just means that 3 hours you go for each week or each fortnight or whenever. And especially as a trainee, you will most likely not go each week in the RIC or whatever induction company you're at. You'll most likely go either every fortnight, or sometimes you'll turn up once, you'll do a PFA, and then you won't turn up again until it's time to go to Kapooka. It varies depending what university regiment you're in to get inducted.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic, mate. And just curious, is there much you can do and contribute to before you go to Kapooka, or is it kind of limited?
It all depends on your RIC. I know our RIC, you could get involved with a lot of stuff, especially after you've gone through Kapooka. You can get different jobs of being enemy parties for officer cadets and stuff like that. But before Kapooka, they'll be like, hey, who wants to come in and do a bit of PT with the sergeant? And heaps of people put their hand up, and they just came and did a bit of PT, got paid 3 hours for it. So it all depends. Just get on, I believe it's called Signal, I think is the new app that everyone's using.
Yeah, it is.
So get on Signal, and I don't use Signal, I use a different program, but get on Signal and just pay attention to those messages you get.
Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
No worries. Yeah, parading is just a general term for turning up to work, because you parade when you rock up. You'll do a parade to make sure everyone's there. So that's just sort of where it comes from. All right. So next one, Nishant. He's just asking about some things to take to training, I think it is. Yeah, just unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, my name is Nishan. Actually, I just want to know what's the basic and important thing which we need to take it to the Kapooka, which we can't get it over there. Like in the field crafting, what's the basic things we need, and what kind of watch we need to bring it over there?
Yeah, so it's got to sound weird, because all the lists they give you a massive list and they'll tell you what to bring and stuff, but don't bring only bring the basic essentials. Bring enough underwear, bring enough toiletries, bring enough shaving equipment base. That's the highlighted version. Bring enough, they say bring enough socks, but if you can go to Big W and get plain white socks that go about 20 centimeters above your ankle, they will save you hassle, because down there you'll get these shitty ass white cotton socks and they will itch your feet for days. So I thought about that. I got plain white socks. They go to about 20 centimeters above your ankle, above your foot. So that way, like you can see them. They're not ankle socks. But other than that, that's about it. Pack whatever it says on the list. But in terms of field craft, I know my rig told everyone to bring Oki straps, like it's elastic straps and stuff. And we asked the question down there. We're like, hey, all of us brought these Oki straps and we able to bring them out the field. And the corporal just said, no, so you guys don't get to bring Oki straps. You have to use the hoochie cord and stuff. So most of the stuff that you get that you're being told to buy, I didn't even end up using. I know half the stuff I took down there, I left in my civilian bag, which was locked up in a storeroom, and I didn't even touch it for the first for the whole 5 days. Coat hangers, that's a key one. Big wooden strong ones. Bring heaps of them, at least 12 or more, because I know I only brought 8 and I was suffering with 8. It was a challenge. So definitely bring more than 10, 12 wooden coat hangers, and baby wipes. That's also a key one because you do put on a lot of cam paint towards the end, and they do let you use those.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so that answer it for you?
Yep, thank you. And what kind of watch you reckon to bring it over there?
Watch. So you're not allowed to take any smartwatches or anything that can track stuff. So anything that you need to charge, or like an Apple Watch or something, you're not allowed to take. So what I just took was my old watch from when I used to referee. It's basically had a stopwatch on it, and it just told the time in the analog version. So if any of your watches, if it tracks how far you've run, or you need to charge it or stuff like that, any smartwatch, like a Garmin or anything like that, don't bring it, because you'll put it in a big tin and you won't touch it for 35 days. Bring a watch that is analog, can tell the time, has a little stopwatch on it, like a G-Shock, something like that. That's always worth bringing. I know I had a little G-Shock there, so I could just tell the time. And also whenever we did PT, you can just set a timer on and see how you're going, because they won't ever tell you your timings, especially for the 2.4K run. But yeah, basically like a little G-Shock. Don't bring any smart stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm pretty sure the Defence Force is sponsored by G-Shock watches. Everyone's got them for field. Yeah, all right, sweet. Amanda, unmute yourself. Go for it.
I was asking about the ranks. I just can't remember them. So is that going to? I don't want to be a heat seeker. Is that going to be a problem?
So the main ranks you'll deal with down in Kapooka is you'll deal with corporals or bombardiers. You'll deal with sergeants. You'll deal with warrant officers, and then you'll deal with lieutenants. That's basically all you'll deal with down there. So it's either sir, sergeant, or corporal, and or bombardier. Get bombardier wrong with a corporal, you're gone. Good luck.
Yeah.
But basically they're the only ranks. But if you wanted to list all the ranks, it changes for also each corps. So like private's the base rank, but then each corps their private rank different. So I'm a musician, you got sappers, you got grenadiers, you got troopers. There's heaps of different other ranks which you don't really need to know. The only ones you need to know: corporal, bombardier, sergeant, warrant officer, or sir, and then sir or ma'am for the officers. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely know what the chevrons mean. So
yeah,
there'll be 1, there'll be 2, there'll be 3. Know them. That's Lance Corporal. Lance Corporal and Corporal are corporals anyway, but you probably won't even see any Lance Corporal. And then,
no, you won't see any Lance Corporal.
Yeah, and then you got the 3 with the sergeant. Yeah. And then if it's got a picture, like if it's a square picture.
If it's a crown with a box around it.
If it's any sort of picture, you call them sir. It's just that if they're little pictures, then you got to salute them. Right? Yeah. So know them. It is a big thing. I didn't know them when I went there, and it does screw with your head because you got to get it right. It's a massive thing to be getting people's rank right. And if you know what it is before you go down there, that's just another thing you won't have to worry about. There's heaps of pictures of the rank system. So yeah, my advice is
Google.
Yeah, is know them. Don't worry about any other service. I still don't even know what they look like. Yeah, just worry about your service, and especially the difference between just a general, like people that you don't have to salute, and then people you do have to salute. Okay, so officer and above. Well,
with saluting, you'll barely do any of that down there. I know I didn't. So because you're only a recruit, and the drill lessons you get there, they're very minimal. You'll be taught how to salute, But most of the saluting you'll do is with your group, and you don't even need to salute then. You just got to turn your head to the right, which will all be taught down there. But down in our lines, or in our area where we were staying, they had a big photo framed wall with like the actual rank slides and stuff with the name, and they will make you study it. So if you forget to memorize it, day one you'll have it down pat. So it's all good.
You'll remember it at some point.
Yeah.
All right, who's next? We got Megan. Megan, you're there.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep. Good.
Right. I'm looking at going full time as a medic. My question is, what kind of things can I study for in advance? I come from a military family, so they're always talking about being as prepared as you can. Obviously, rank would be a big one. I've been told military history, that kind of thing, will be pretty big for full timers. So, yeah, what kind of things can I study before I even go?
Yeah. So, if you've gone through DFR, that's solid. But you'll want to learn for DFR is, especially the core you want to go into, you want to learn the unit. There's like a little paragraph that describes the unit's job role. So I know for mine, is the Australian Army Band Corps' role is to provide ceremonial music for vice-regal and regal ceremonies. Basically, that's it to sum up. So if you're a medical corps, you can Google it, go to whatever the DFR website is, and it will have just a little paragraph of the job role, and it would be like what that unit does. If you can memorize that, and then you can go to the DFR interviewer and say, hey, this is what basically my job is, I'll probably love you, because they love me when I said that. In terms of getting in there, military, like a basic military history, I'm a history buff, so I really like World War II, World War I, Anzac Cove, Gallipoli, all the different battles, the 5 different beaches of like Operation Overlord, all that stuff I was fine with. But you don't really learn that much history down there. You'll learn the basics of like Australian military history from the Sudan War and like Gallipoli and stuff, but that's about it. There's really no history lessons as such, so don't have to worry about that. But yeah, just basically the ranks. If you can learn the ranks before you go down there, and I know if you can do like a first aid course or something, that'll always help. But yeah, basically that's it really.
Yeah, Megan, I'll jump into a lot of the stuff you'll learn there. Like the majority of stuff, that it is good to sort of have a bit of an idea at certain things, like at least know what it looks like when you're marching, and if you can have a bit of a practice, have a feel for it, and know the ranks. Just simple stuff that you can actually learn a little bit about at home. But yeah, when it comes to like history, I'm hopeless with history. I still am hopeless. You'll learn all of that sort of stuff. You'll do a little bit of Kapooka, but that's more once you go into, because you're going to be full-time. When you go and do your subject courses, when you're going for promotion and stuff like that, you'll do a fair bit of history into your actual core. And that's pretty much the extent of my history throughout my career. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. DFR side of things, it was much different when I went through. So Blaine gave you some good advice with that. You didn't need to know anything when you went through DFR. For me, it's like, what, you want to get in the army? Let's go. But yeah, everything, and be aware, you guys, like the army is really, really good at teaching, and they teach you from someone, like they expect someone to be there that has no idea about what they are about to teach. So the very, very minimum, they will teach from that. So yeah, if you're any good at learning stuff, then you'll just pick things up, and they always teach them in stages. They'll test you, and you'll get all the opportunities to sort of get better at it and stuff as well. So yeah, just that very basic stuff like Blaine went over. Other than that, you'll learn everything you need to know down there. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, with the drill and stuff, just Google, well, not Google, YouTube, just Google Kapooka March Out Parade, or even ADFA March Out or RMC March Out, which are what the officers do. And that'll just show you basically what you'll be doing. It won't be as advanced as that. It'll be very dumbed down, but that'll show you the marching. That'll show you like the drill commands and stuff, which if you know them, it'll make your life 20 times easier. You won't even have to worry about it, which means your brain can be focused on learning all the other stuff. So definitely give like ADFA March Out, Kapooka March Out parades a look on YouTube, and just watch some of the highlights.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Could I be cheeky and just ask another little question?
Go for it. Go for it.
I will obviously be relocating to Victoria for the medical school training.
Yeah.
What is the situation? Do I have to live on base for like the first year or something? Am I able to live in my own house? Do you guys know the deal?
That's a full-time question, so I'll answer it for you. So
Yeah, not me.
yeah.
Sorry.
So, have you got family or anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have family that's going to move with you and you just need a house, they'll provide a house for you. And I actually went where you're going. That's where my training was done as well, down in 𝘬𝘭𝘰𝘯𝘨, well, Bandiana area. So yeah, they do have DHA housing that for families to live in, and you'll have to apply for that, and that'll all be done through when you go through your recruit course and everything. But if you don't have anything that's a necessity to be living off base, yeah, you'll live on base, and it is awesome. It's like, yeah, you're not paying for anything, and it's just one big party. But yeah, it's really good. It's not a big party, but you do make a lot of friends there, and you have a lot of fun. You are still in a training environment, but it's a good. I really enjoyed my time there. But yeah, you like when you're doing your initial training, if there's no reason for you to be living off base, you'll be living on. They just want everyone there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, great. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, who's next? Craig. Oh yeah. So yeah, Craig, go for it. You're still on here? Might have lost him. Nah, he's gone, I think. All right, next question. Samuel, are you there?
Yeah. I think 𝐁𝐥𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐞𝐬 answered, or his question answered.
Oh, yep. Can you keep watch? Yeah, perfect. You got any others?
Oh yeah. What was the hardest thing about Kapooka? That Craig had a good one.
Yeah. So this is where I am really weird. Okay, because most people, they'll come back and say, "Oh, Kapooka was hard." I absolutely loved it at Kapooka. It was definitely suited to me. It's basically what I want to do. I do want to go full time in a couple of years. I want to go full time officer actually, but if I was to say like a generalized hardest thing, it would just be I don't really know, because I think I probably was like a perfect recruit for them, to be honest with you. I had knowledge from cadets. I'm a bandy, so that even the band corps trained me up a tiny little bit before I went, and I went to a pretty good RIC. I know some aren't as good and some are pretty good. So I had all the information I could have went down there. I knew how to march. I knew basic drill. I knew basic first aid, basic nav. All the core subjects you learn down there, I already knew a tiny bit of information on. So I was just perfecting the army stuff. But as a generalized hardest moment down there would probably be just the amount of work you do have to cover. I think just the whole span of like learning heaps is probably the hardest thing, especially for reservists. The field phase, nothing compared to the full-timers, what they have to do. I'm sure if a full-timer was here answering this question, they'll probably say field or something like that, where they have to carry 20 kilo packs every day and just dig trenches and whatnot. But for a reservist field day, it's basically 3 to 4 days, and it's all learning out there. They just teach you the basics, so the field phase isn't really that hard. So it's more just the general overview of all the learning you have to do, and your brain just is constantly moving, which just makes you more fatigued. So yeah, it's probably the hardest thing I found.
Trying not to fall asleep in lectures.
That's it. Death by PowerPoint is what we said.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. What do we got? One more question to go. So Sinead, is that right?
Yeah, Sinead.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's spelled. Yeah, I've never seen it spelled like that.
Yeah, it's like it's Irish.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. I got blessed with that name, so yeah. I've had so many weird pronunciations.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah. So Blaine, are you able to get in touch with family much at all? Like when you finish, say 10 o'clock at night, like are you allowed a message like people or?
Yeah. So if you're not in yet, this will probably deter you away from the army, but I'm sorry. So
no,
basically, well, what I mean to turn away from it, you'll probably go Air Force or Navy, something easier. But when you're down there, it varies on your platoon sergeant heavily, because the platoon sergeant is basically the one who runs the show and just tells and gets orders from the platoon commander. The platoon sergeant will give you times when you get your phone and stuff. So I know my platoon was very lucky. There's for the first 2 weeks, you don't get it that much, maybe once, maybe twice. But for the last 3 weeks and beyond, I remember there was a period for like 5 days where we got our phone every single day for like 2 hours. But then there's also periods where we didn't go without it for an entire week and a half. And then sometimes it'll be, oh, you get your phone now, 2 days later, you get your phone. I know my sister platoon upstairs, they had their phones very rarely compared to us. I think they got their phones like 5 times, where we got it over like 15. But then you hear stories about the RAF recruits and they get it for like 2 hours each every second day. It's something nuts. So depending on what you go for and what call you go for, it just depends on who's running the show. It'll change for you as it changed for me. You'll never be able to get a definite answer on when you get your phone, but you will be able to contact them and stuff. It just depends what you're going through and what your training's like.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, that is, oh, we got one more question that popped up. So Rhiannon, you want to jump on?
Yeah, sorry, just one real last quick one. So
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
obviously female, 34 years old. I'm a little bit paranoid about going when I'm 34 and being the oldest person there and being female. Just curious, mate, like what was the female to male ratio and how old was everyone there?
So if you came along in my platoon, you're definitely not the oldest person. The oldest person we had was 51 years old. He just made the cut, and he was great. He was a police officer. Went great guns. Female to male ratio in my platoon, we had 39 males and the rest were females. So 39 and 7 females, something near there. And with your toilet blocks and stuff, they cater to how many males you have. So if there's some males out there saying, oh, if the females get 10 toilets and we get 10 toilets, it's unfair. They've got different dividers. So the males, we had 16 toilets. The females, they only had 3. So don't worry about that stuff. But the male to female ratio will always be heavily more male, especially in the army, and then less females. But you won't have to worry about that because you'll be separated. You'll only stay with, like, you'll sleep with only other females and stuff. And when you're getting changed and stuff, you'll be separated and stuff like that. So in terms of privacy and all that, they've got it dealt with. And also on that is dealing with 17-year-olds and stuff. Dealing with 17-year-olds adds 2 whole levels to everything because they're technically not an adult. And it just adds a whole lot of pain to the corporals. And trust me, the corporals will get angry if they find out there's a 17-year-old in there, which they will. So it's very organized. It's very simple. And you won't be getting perved on technically by like 21-year-old males. It won't happen. You'll be separated. Males will be up one end of the hallway, females down the other end. Your unit block, your toilet blocks will be completely different. Basically how it would be in civvy life, just in the army.
That's awesome. Thanks, Blaine. I feel it's a little better now. Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah. And that's pretty much throughout, the whole of defense as well. It's not just down to Kapooka. They're really, like they're onto that sort of stuff. And yeah, they've been doing it for a long time, especially at Kapooka. So they got it really squared away. So yeah.
Freddie, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, hey, go for it.
Sorry. I just wanted to know how much water activity these. Obviously, I've got my Kapooka dates as July. So, and I'm from the territory, so I'm going to freeze my ass off. So I just want to know, like, do they make you get wet? Do you have to swim very much? Like, I'm really worried about dying of hypothermia.
Yeah.
I don't deal with a cold.
So yeah, I was lucky I went in prime time, but I've had friends who just got back who said it was freezing. So you will get wet. It depends what your unit does. So I know we were meant to do the army swim test, but I didn't get to do it. Our platoon didn't have enough time, so we didn't get to do it. Kind of lucky, but that's indoors, so don't worry about that one. There's the bayonet assault course. You will get wet for like 10 seconds. You will jump in, you'll hold your weapon over your head, you'll go head under, and then you get out, and then you rush up a hill. That's basically it. So you'll be free. Well, the adrenaline's pumping, so you're not even cold. But when you return and you're standing there waiting for your next go, you will get cold. But they cater for that. They have they always have in every single army activity, someone's a designated medic, and they'll also have a trained medic, especially Kapooka, they'll always have a trained medic on site to ensure the safety, because safety is one of the key priorities of everything.
Yep.
So yeah,
Cool. That's good.
you'll
Now I
be
know what
fine.
to
They'll-
expect.
Yeah, they'll have jumpers. They'll have many blankets, especially when sleeping, because it gets terribly cold down there at night. They'll have huge horse blankets for you, and you'll wear jumpers galore, so you'll be fine.
Sweet. Cool. Thank you so much.
You'll
All
be
good.
covered at some point. All right, that is it. That's all the questions. There were some awesome questions in there, and even better responses by Blaine. So yeah, Blaine, thanks heaps for jumping on here. I think you've done a world of good for a whole heap, like everyone on here. And when I repost this in the group, I think everyone will thank you for it. Yeah, you had some awesome responses, and definitely looked at it a different way to a lot of people do. You know, making those friends, and you know, just putting up with the shit and just realizing it's only going to be that small amount of time, and it's not there to sort of break you. It's there to just train you and make sure you're suitable for the job. So yeah, thanks for joining in, and yeah, spending tonight, like, what was that, over an hour of your time, even though you're just sitting at army, probably getting paid for it anyway. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Just thanks for coming in, and everyone else, thank you definitely for joining in and taking on this opportunity and asking the questions as well. And like me and Blaine were discussing, you know, fitness is one thing that you can actually control before you go into your enlistment, and it is something that you should be on top of. And like we were discussing, the PFA is the very first hurdle and the least fittest you'll ever be for the rest of your military career, and you should be anyway. You shouldn't be aiming for those minimum standards. You should be aiming for a higher level that you can get to. Not everyone's going to be an elite athlete, but you want to be the best that you can be.